Boom! Alright, what's up you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about OG Bitcoin miner, Riot Blockchain, and why, at least in my opinion, this stock is presenting an absolute no-brainer buying opportunity at its current levels in the mid to high single-digit range. Okay, so we will be talking price targets at the very end of the video, but I do want to emphasize the fundamentals today. So we'll kick this one off by reading a recent press release made by Riot Blockchain, which covers their May 2022 production and operations update. Because my fat head is covering the metrics on the site itself, I did download the PDF for us to read through. So we'll go over a few points, a few year-over-year metrics, and a few statements made by the CEO in this press release. And to complement some of these year-over-year metrics, I do have this chart dating back exactly 1 year. You can see that unfortunately, but fortunately at the same time, if you got strong hands like us, we were down 78% in the past year, and that doesn't necessarily line up with some of these fundamental year-over-year metrics that we're about to read through. This is for obvious reasons, which we'll also get into, but of course, we still have to put things into perspective when it comes to share price versus actual fundamental progress as a company. Okay, so that's that. Once again, to close it out, we will take a look at Riot on TradingView. I'll give you guys my worst case scenario and best case scenario for how I personally see the remainder of the month of June going into July playing out for price action. And I will just say right up front, I think the upside potential here significantly outweighs the downside risk. So, good old asymmetric risk profile. If you've been watching for a while, you would know that. You've been part of the Waves fam. That is going to be a very common term to use. So, asymmetric risk profile for Riot Blockchain, especially from a long-term perspective, if you have a long time horizon, is absolutely impeccable right now. Okay, so before we get to reading, I will ask you guys to let me know in the comments down below if, like me, you have been bagging up on Riot Blockchain over the past few days, broke to the lowest level, broke in the $5 range for the first time in a very, very long time, over a year and a half. And again, I'm feeling like a shark in these bloody waters, and I'm taking advantage. So please let me know if you're taking advantage right there with me, and if you want to know exactly how I'm personally trading Riot Blockchain. But not just Riot, all crypto stocks, all tech stocks, some gaming stocks that I'm really excited about right now, which specific call options I have on them, how I'm hedging my personal portfolio with certain put options, when I'm buying stocks, when I'm selling stocks, literally every trade I ever make on a day-to-day basis. Check that out. That is going to be the first link down in the description box below. I will be running the free trial for until the end of this week, so give it a shot if you haven't already, because I actually am going to remove the 7-day free trial after this week, or at least put it on pause for now. So go check it out if you've been thinking about it, if you want to know what it's all about. It's been a great month for the Waves fam, for Waves Capital portfolio, and yeah, I'll let you be the judge of that for yourself. Of course, with this, you do also get my daily 3-part newsletter as well, which I feel in itself is I put a lot of time into. So go check that out. Once again, first link in the description box down below. Let's get to reading Riot Blockchain's production announcement. So, May 2022 production and operations update once again. Boom, Riot produces 466 Bitcoin in May 2022. Bitcoin productions and operations update. Let's read over some of these bullet points, and then we'll go over some quotes from the CEO, Jason Les. In May 2022, Riot produced 466 BTC, an increase of approximately 104% as compared to May 2021 production of 228 Bitcoin. As of May 31st, 2022, Riot held approximately 6,536 BTC, all produced by the company's self-mining operations. In May 2022, Riot sold 250 Bitcoin, generating net proceeds of approximately $7.5 million. Riot currently has deployed a fleet of approximately 43,458 miners with a hash rate capacity of 4.6 exahash per second. Okay, that's insane, you guys. Especially again, if you've been following Riot, if you've been watching the videos, if you've been part of the Waves fam for a while, since we've been following Riot, it's from its pretty much infancy at just $1 to $2 and been on the ride. It's crazy to see, well, again, regardless of the absolute roller coaster that has been the share price of this stock, the progress that they're making as a company is insane. Like 43,450 miners. Like, I really want to go visit this facility one day, really bring things full circle, I guess. But that would be insane to see in person. And again, just seeing the amount of their mining capacity. Again, 4.6 exahash per second. Seeing this scale, which again, the faster you can mine Bitcoin, the more Bitcoin you can mine, and ultimately the more revenue you generate. The more miners you have, the more Bitcoin you can mine. Like, they're just scaling everything at such an impressive rate. Okay, so let's read over some of these quotes. During May, we continued to make progress on the ongoing expansion of our Whinstone facility in Rockdale, Texas. A lot of you may have heard as well, which is also putting a shadow or casting a cloud, I should say, over the Bitcoin mining sector. That is New York. Allegedly, they're not banning Bitcoin. I saw some of the individuals who are actually writing the legislature itself that a lot of people think it's a ban. It's not that, but they are kind of on the trajectory to ban Bitcoin. But that's why the fact that Riot is building out in Texas, I would argue they're probably the most Bitcoin miner friendly state, very capitalist state in themselves, so you got to respect that. But Riot, again, expanding to Texas, this is huge. Said Jason Less, sorry for that little tangent, but said Jason Less, CEO of Riot. Quote, we're proud to report that our first immersion building, Building F, is filled with approximately 23,000 S19 series miners. Approximately 7,000 of those miners are staged in the immersion cooling tanks and are anticipated to be deployed pending installation of the final requisite components. Once these miners and other stage miners are fully deployed, our hash rate capacity is expected to increase to 5.4 exahashes. Additionally, we are initiating a project to refurbish our fleet of S17 Pro AM miners to improve their overall hash rate and efficiency. These enhancements are made possible when improved operating environment facilitated by our immersion cooling technology. While undergoing the refurbishing process, our fully depreciated fleet of 4,000 S17, not trying to sell you this, 4,000 S17 Pro miners will be temporarily decommissioned. That's what happens when you read a bunch of just products that have numbers in them. These 4,000 miners will no longer be counted in our deployed fleet figure, and the corresponding 225, I don't know what that means, of hash rate, pexahashes, I don't know, pentahashes, let me know down below what that means. Can Google it easily, but it's a mining capacity, okay? Will no longer be counted in our hash rate capacity figure. Mining deployment and shipment update. Read over this one and then this over here as well. Definitely won't go into HR, but a little bit more to read. And again, you guys, I really want to emphasize the growth metrics here. Okay, so mining deployment, we read over that. Mining deployment shipment updates. Since its last monthly update, Riot received an additional 1,701 S19J Pros, deployed approximately 1,086 S19J Pros in its immersion cooled building with an additional 7,855 miners staged for deployment. Upon deployment of the stage miners, the company expects to have a total of 51,313 miners deployed with a hash rate capacity of approximately 5.4 exahashes. Infrastructure update, and then we'll go back up to the top, look at the year-over-year metrics, and talk a little bit about what's gone on with price action over the past year. Okay, so during May, progress continued at Riot's 4,000 megawatt infrastructure expansion project to the Whinstone facility in Rockdale, Texas. The construction of the structure and exhaust louvres for building, I have no idea what that word is either, an installation of its intake louvres for air cooling will now commence. Further completions include the installation of all low and medium voltage switchgear for Building D. The second air-cooled building in the expansion, Building E, is advancing towards completion of its roofing and structure. Additionally, installation of all its medium voltage transformers have been completed. The final power systems in Building F, Riot's first immersion-cooled building, have been commissioned, and all miners have been placed. In the company's second immersion-cooled building, Building G, immersion cooling tanks continue to be installed. Installation of all medium voltage transformers for Building G is now complete. After reading that, probably wasn't necessary, but you guys get the point. You guys can go check out their website and obviously read over these for yourself. If you're an investor in Riot, it's always good. Like, I have their email notifications on, so every time they release one of these bad boys, I get an email personally. And yeah, it's just crazy to see what this company is doing and how efficiently and effectively they are scaling their operations. So let's break down some of these numbers, okay? And then we'll look at the year over year. So in May, 466 BTC were produced, an increase of approximately 104% as compared to May 2021 production of 228 BTC. So year over year, as of 1 year ago, they have doubled their Bitcoin production. And again, as a Bitcoin mining company, you generate revenue off the Bitcoin you can mine. And the fact that they have doubled their revenue in the past year virtually is insane. Now their profits, that's to be argued because they're spending money expanding, so the profits might take a hit. But Riot Blockchain is one of the few profitable Bitcoin miners. They are still sitting at a PE ratio, which is a price to earnings ratio of 35, which especially for this market environment is high. That's another reason that it's important to emphasize. So they doubled in the past year, right? If the markets made perfect sense, which as you definitely know by now, they do not. They absolutely do not make logical sense all the time. But a year ago, Riot was at $28. In the past year, it is down almost 80% from that level. And was significantly more than that, of course, from its all-time highs. But regardless, Riot's significantly down over the past year, while they have doubled their revenue in Bitcoin production over the past year. So again, that doesn't make sense. But it's important to remember, you guys, this market is weeded out so many investors, particularly obviously retail investors, which were a lot of the individuals buying Riot Blockchain. A lot of people saw the stock going parabolic. They got excited, hadn't been in the markets very long. Everyone got manic, including myself. And I've been in this game for a while. I've been through some of these manic cycles, and even I was getting excited. And I still love Riot. And that's why I'm still buying, because they're still growing at these insane rates. Okay, look at that. They have 6,500, over 6,500 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That's a strong balance sheet. They sold 250 Bitcoin just in May alone, just to generate some profits. So their balance sheet is strong. They are profitable. They're making money. And this is in a market where not many companies are profitable. Okay, even some big companies like UB. If you're not familiar, if you don't follow the markets just as close as I do, I would be surprised if you don't know how many companies that you think were profitable are actually bleeding cash. So the fact that Riot Blockchain, such a new revolutionary company with such a bright future ahead of it, is profitable right now is very, very, that's amazing, especially for this environment. Again, the PE ratio a little high, especially for what is a very, very shaky and uncertain economic outlook. But the beauty of Riot Blockchain, they don't care about sales. Like, obviously the price of Bitcoin does matter, and the price that they can mine a Bitcoin. So energy costs matter. The cost of energy is going up a little bit, but that's good. That's why they're also diversifying the way they get that energy to mine those Bitcoin. Okay, so anyway, you guys, year-over-year metrics amazing. The market is just in a different place. This isn't specifically about Riot. This just applies to literally all growth stocks, the stock market across the board. When people have less money to expend, when the cost of goods are going up, when you got to pay for life itself, you're not going to try to invest in a Bitcoin miner. And again, unfortunately, that's why even in the case that Bitcoin itself has been performing and Riot hasn't been performing, speaks to the fact that Bitcoin is acting as a pretty solid safe haven right now, or a pretty solid store of value amongst the market volatility. Again, unfortunately, Riot Blockchain isn't doing too well. None of the Bitcoin miners are, but I do think that they will play some catch up. We've seen it happen every time in the past. And yeah, I mean, Riot Blockchain at $6. We did see it at some point today at at a low of like 587, which is absolutely insane. And I think there's so much potential upside ahead. Okay, maybe it takes some time. Again, the bull market is going to take some time to get back, especially with the current just macroeconomic background. But if you have a long time horizon, if you're an investor, you guys know I do have my stock positions, which are just solid, and I have been adding to them, especially Riot over these past few days. But again, I'm a trader, and I am trying to trade Riot right now because I do think over the course of June we will see a pretty impressive bounce for not only Riot, but for Bitcoin miners across the board, just because they've so significantly been underperforming Bitcoin. Okay, so Riot Blockchain, when it comes to the short term, in the case that the markets are able to rally for the rest of the week, it's Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday going into Tuesday evening in Hawaii at the time of recording. Okay, so in the case that we do test this line of resistance, so this is the first target that I have set, right? We're printing this descending triangle pattern. You see a strong base over here. We did set, again, the lowest level that we've seen. Let's zoom out a little bit. When's the last time we saw this level? Last time we saw this was in November of 2020. So it's been about a year and a half. It's been over a year and a half, I guess, since we've seen the high $5 mark. But again, that just shows. And since then, we hit like $85. So again, it's just insane to see the ride that Riot's been on. $85, Does that make sense? Absolutely not. But does $6 really make sense either? Absolutely not. Again, like I've been talking about so many great growth plays, you got to find that middle ground. You have to revert to the mean. There is mean reversion to be had. And because Riot is on the low end of the spectrum, because the markets are fearful, that does, of course, lead to upside mean reversion. Okay, finding that comfortable middle ground. So, in the short term anyway, Riot Blockchain, this is a very, very obvious line of resistance on the short term descending triangle pattern. In the case that we do come up here, sorry about that, to test this by Friday, which is June 10th, that would take us to about $7.30, which I do think is possible. But hey, maybe it takes a little longer. Maybe we see it June 13th, June 14th. I don't know when we're going to see it, but I do think we will see it by June 15th for sure. And in the case that it takes this long to come test this, that would take us up to about $7.15 by the middle mark of June 15th. Okay, so on an optimistic note, and I mean this isn't even very optimistic, but I guess in this market it is. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see it. I do think that Riot can come up here. I'll show you guys this trend line right here, a very, very obvious long-term line of resistance. So there's a touch point here. At the peak of that kind of little fake out, little bull trap rally we saw in November amongst the entire growth sector. We get the high, boom, next touch point here on the bounce we saw in late March. That creates the overall line of resistance on the medium to longer term downtrend. And I do think at some point Riot has to test this. If we do test this by, mid to late June, June 23rd is just where I have this drawn, because this also lines up with the ceiling I have over here where Riot gap down. I do think this gap will be filled. If we fill this gap, at the same time we test this overall line of resistance, which again is this orange line right here, those intersect on June 22nd, and that would take us up 44%, about 45% from current levels to about $8.85. Okay, so that's right, you guys. Again, when will these happen? When can we see some upside? I don't know. These upside targets are always dependent upon when these trend lines are struck. But it's always important to remember, you guys, things can still go down. We are in a very unforgiving market environment, but I'm also an optimistic guy. And again, the highs, the absolute extremist highs don't make sense, but the extremist lows don't make sense either. It's not going to be an extremist, honestly, in any scenario in life. But in the markets, again, when you're at one of the two extremes, it's not that, again, you can't spend some time there, but ultimately you will find that mean reversion and meet somewhere in the middle. Okay, so that's the video, you guys. Again, let me know in the comments down below what you think about Riot right now. If you've been picking up Riot, if you've been picking up any other Bitcoin miners. And again, if you want to know how I'm trading, it's been a great, so far, the month of June has been great. May was an amazing month as well. So if you guys want to know how we have been trading as the Waves Capital fan, first link down below. Give the 7-day free trial a shot, or hey, $40 for every 3 months. Completely up to you, however you want to break that down. So, again, I'll see you in the comments downstairs, and I'll catch you next time. Until then, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.